What's up, YouTube? How's it going? This is BBX Cards. We're here to talk to you about the April 2014 ban list. Just first off, in case you didn't know, it's legal April 1st through July 13th, which is a little different. So it's going to be the middle of the year, and then July 13th to get our new ban list, which goes till, I believe it's like October 31st or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but anyway.
I think then we go back to September, I believe.
It's not July 13th through September. That wouldn't make any sense.
Oh.
Maybe September 31st, but anyway. Either way, we're just going to talk to you about it, and it's legal in like less than a week now, so.
Yeah.
Alright.
So anyway, starting off, we have banned the morphine jars.
Yep. Well, you guys already probably know it's banned, so, and like limited and everything, so we won't, put too much drama on that. But basically, I have really no interest in either of these bans. They don't affect me in any way, and I don't see why both of them were necessary. I mean, I kind of get the whole Jackpot 7 dealio. But I really don't. There was no point. There's absolutely no point. There were annoying cards, yeah. But honestly, a deck like Jackpot 7 really does not have any chance game 2 or 3, in my opinion. So.
And it just seems like another example of, oh, I think something's working the OCG. Let's emergency ban it!
Yeah, I think it was really rash and not necessary at all. I mean, Morphine Jar has been perfectly fine where he is. And with the whole Jackpot 7 thing, you have to creature swap because it's got to be your opponent killing it. And so there's plenty of ways for your opponent to get around. If you're playing Jackpot 7, there's plenty of ways for your opponent to get around it. Like, they can stop you from attacking. They can keep that Morphine Jar set. If you try to attack it, they can stop it. That, or they can use it to tribute or something. They don't have to flip it. And there's other ways to get Jackpot 7 destroyed, but I don't really see... I don't think that's the main reason why they hit them. I think they hit them because they open up gateways to just crazy combos and decks that could end up hurting the meta, which they want to sell. So that's my opinion on it.
And that's why they reprinted Morphing Jar in Premium Gold.
Yeah, I was so pissed about that.
Okay. So, moving on to the limited. We're going to start out, well, you know this, but Wolfbark. Thank God.
Yeah, I was really happy they didn't hit Bear. Wolfbark's pretty crazy. When I first saw this card, I thought when he was normal summoned, you special summon a Beast Warrior. And then I realized that, no, it's once per turn, and that's crazy. You can just go Wolfbark for Wolfbark. It's not even funny. And
not to mention, you can just sit on your tents and it's like, oh, you attack my 1600 Wolfbark. Well, ooh.
And I don't know why Konami's decided to make Beast Warriors a lot more universal these days, but it seems like you can use Wolfbark in a bit too many decks for it to be at 3. So I'm glad they hit it to 1. And not to mention it was way too pricey as it is, so now it really doesn't need a reprint anymore, so that's one thing they don't have to really reprint anymore now that it's like $25. So they can focus on reprinting their Draco Sack.
I think like for Fire Fist, this will definitely slow them down a bit. Suddenly they don't have 3 of a card that they can, top deck.
It's a 1 card rank 4, so that's
1
basically
card Exciton, 1 card Silent Honors. It's just horrible.
Yep. Which then brings us to our next limited.
Abiskunde.
Yeah, Abiskund. My cousin's a Mermail player. I play Mermails. I built a deck for him, and Abiskund really does not. It's nice because it doesn't hurt them to the point where they can't play in the meta anymore, but it slows them down just a little bit so that now they are a little more manageable. Hitting Sphere to 1, although it would have been an interesting choice, and a lot of people would argue that would have been the best choice.
Yeah.
Hitting Sphere would have brought the deck down at least a tier, if not 2 tiers. So by not hitting Abyss Sphere, you are basically you're telling us as players that you still want Mermails to be a playable deck, and thank you for that, because otherwise a lot of people would probably be out of a deck right now if Konami had hit Sphere. So I think Abiskund was the right choice.
It'll be interesting to see how much it impacts the deck in general, especially compared to because the OCG, they have the Sphere Dragoon, which I was honestly really surprised that they didn't hit Sphere. I was almost like 80% certain, okay, they're going to hit Sphere, same thing they did in the OCG, but it'll be interesting to kind of see where
the deck goes.
Yeah.
If it's going to be that tier 2, or I really don't think the deck is tier 1 anymore, but It's at least tier 2, and we'll see whether it can compete with the new meta, with Madolches, with Angeli Madolches, with the new Lightsworns when their support comes out, with Bujins especially. We'll see if the deck can actually keep up the speed that it used to have.
I mean, it is a key piece, but they also have a lot of ways to recycle it. It'll just be a more valuable piece that they're just gonna
and I feel like
keep recycling.
Some Mermail players might go back to the old builds with the Genix Undine with more of a control basis. Now that they don't have that spamminess as much of that spamminess anymore, I could see some players going back to a Genix Undine kind of control deck where they slow down a little bit and they focus on keeping field presence and keeping hand presence especially, and that's really what the Undine builds were, was you could be spammy, but you also had a lot of control. So possibly more back row, possibly more recycling. We'll see what Mermail players decide is best for the deck. So I can't speak for them entirely.
All right, now moving on to Rekindling.
Really, I'll just be really quick on this. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. It's unfortunate because it means the Lavels basically have no chance of doing anything. It also means Quasar builds are nigh impossible to make. Sylvans might be your best option there. I'm not even joking. Go ahead and try
Junks.
it. Interesting.
Junks are probably the most viable at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. Sylvans just have a lot more support. But anyway, it's really unfortunate, but it's okay.
I mean, it definitely helps control Fire Kings at the moment, and
see, No, I don't agree with that because Fire Kings really only ran 1 or 2 of this card, and so I really don't think that hitting it to hit Fire Kings was real. It didn't do anything.
It was just overall.
In fact, most of the topping Fire King decks at regionals and stuff, they only ran 1 of this card, and some ran 2, but nobody was running this thing at 3. I don't think any Fire King player out there right now is going, Rekindling at 1, I'm so bummed. No, they're probably more bummed about Wolfbark. So,
yeah, that's true. But it just fits into the category of cards where it's like, 1 card and I basically get to swarm the field.
Yeah,
so.
I think it was banned because of itself, not because of its viability in a top deck. So.
Yeah, the decks that it's mainly in are like tier 2, and there was 3 Axis, but obviously Spirit still won. Whatever reason.
Which I feel like that could possibly come up next format just because of the hits on Wolfbark and Rekindling. But we'll see. We'll see what Konami thinks.
Alright, and now last limited.
Infernity Barrier.
Yeah.
I really don't understand. I do because Infernity Barrier is a really broken card, and it's like, I don't understand the sudden upset about this card being hit. People are like, well, why did it deserve to be hit? Because Infernities weren't topping a whole lot, and they're not, broken or anything. With Infernities, with any deck, if you are able to run 3 of something that is basically a Judgment, you should...
And a Judgment with basically no cost.
It should be fixed. It should be fixed. No Archetype. Archetypes have their own little broken cards that are specifically for their own Archetype, but a Judgment is a little bit over the top. And when Konami created this card, it was basically to make a bunch of money, and in my opinion, this should have been a Spellbook of Judgment where they just made it a secret, which they did. They should have just made their money on it and then limited or banned it almost immediately after they got their money's worth. I don't know why it stayed at 3 for so dang long, because it's sincerely ridiculous. It should have just been like a Spellbook of Judgment. It should have just been a money card. And the fact that they kept it at 3 is a miracle to me.
Not to mention it's a Judgment that is searchable.
It is searchable. It kind of sucks.
First turn, if they're able to set 3 of them, that's, a good game. So.
Yeah, well, and they can still survive without it. They've got Break. They've got a lot of other searchable cards that it's not going to be a huge deal for them to have 1 of this thing. And it did help them win games, but they have other options. All right, so let's move on to semi-limited then.
Heretic Seal Convocation.
Konami's really back and forth on this card, but I really think it just belongs at 2. Any searcher that doesn't have any cost should be at 1 or 2. And in my opinion, Rhoda should be at 2 and Tenki should be at 2. But this is the same sort of deal. It's a searcher. It's not universal, but it's a searcher without a cost.
It's not a huge hit for the Heretic Rulers, but it does help control them ever so slightly.
They probably I don't think it's gonna hurt them a ton. They did lose a 1 search card, but they have plenty of other things to work with.
It's probably not going to hurt them a ton. Just kind of keep them in check definitely isn't as devastating as Wolfbark or Abyssunde were to the other decks. But
it's unfortunate, though, that this hit did have something to do with rulers, and that rulers are still doing something negative for the game, and especially for heretics, because now pure heretic decks don't have that third convocation. So,
rulers. All right, and now moving on to Necroface.
Okay,
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't really care either. I use 1 in zombies, but 2 is a little ridiculous for a deck that doesn't banish a ton, because, especially in zombies, like the reason I use it is because I can go normal, and then I can go get all my Mizukis back, overlay for a chain, and then get a Mizuki to the grave. I can recycle, but it's risky because if it's compulsed, if it's bottomless, if it's bottomless, or if anything goes wrong, then you can end up hurting yourself. And you can't allure it if you don't want to banish the top 5 cards of your deck. It's just it's not an extremely risky card, but it's not something that I would be running it to in something that is grave dependent. And so I really think that's why they brought it back, is because it can't be used in everything. When it first came out, it was crazy. There were a lot of combos with it where you could end up like milling your opponent out and stuff, but it's not a huge deal.
Not to mention pretty much all of the big summon from the Banish Zone OTK cards, Dimension Fusion.
In fact, the only bad thing I see about this card coming back to 2 is that the secret rare is going to be freaking expensive as heck still, which is annoying, but whatever.
Probably isn't going to do crap.
No.
Alright, now just finishing off with unlimited cards, Primal Seed and Magical Stone. Magical Stone, about damn time. It really...
I don't care about either of these cards. I really don't care at all. So I know people are like, oh, Primal Seed. You can do so much random crap with Primal Seed. I've seen it work in Lightsworns and stuff. It's really not that bad. You can get your BOS back. Fine, go ahead. Run 3 of a card for 1 card that is limited. So...
Well, and there is the whole loop you can do with it, but you need Macrocosmos and Blackluster Filter. Obviously, Chaos Emperor Dragon is not here. Mm-hmm. So you need 2 cards that are limited in order to loop the card.
And then you stay right where they are. It's...
Good luck for making it somewhat consistent. I mean, it's just like, yeah.
It's not big enough to do any damage. Anyway, other notes, I guess, things I wish that would have been on the ban list. I wish they would have done... Even though I play the deck, I wish they would have hit gear. But, I mean, I guess I'll get to play it at 3 for another format. I just really think that now... I'm afraid that it's going to end up to the point where the deck is just going to get...
It was one of the big decks...
bombed at one point.
It was one of the big decks that didn't get hit, and that is usually a bad sign. But
I'm also concerned about things like... See, things like Arc and Exciton are hard to hit because people run them at like 1, and so you have to ban them if you're going to hit them, but also a little concerned about Lightsworns. They didn't take any preventive measures with Lightsworns, and I play this deck too, but it's another one of those things where they're probably just trying to promote the sale of that structure deck, but just a little concerned, so, yeah.
Alright, well, that's our opinion, so...
Oh, and Stratos didn't come back, so fuck you, Konami.
Well, the structure deck isn't coming out anytime soon, so it didn't make sense to bring them back.
Yeah, they'll probably bring it back right before the structure deck. You will bring it back right before the structure deck.
At all.
No, they will, Steven. I refuse to accept the fact that he's gone forever. Okay, you may have given up, but I have not given up. Anyway.
Okay, then.
We're done here. Goodbye.
All right, bye.